Uh, just want to see a lot of familiar faces, and I see some new faces. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Phil Levine. I'm the athletic director here. I'm starting my 17th year at Lebanon. Pretty excited. We have a lot to look forward to this year and in the future, and we'll get to some of that information a little bit later on. This is also my 31st year in education, and 24 of those years have been in athletic administration. Been here 17 in another school in the state of Virginia for 14. So been around the block. Yes, I'm getting older. I have two awesome stepdaughters that graduated from Lebanon, and we have a couple grandkids. Uh-oh, what are we doing here?
Look what you did.
Oh, nice. Wade Thatcher, everybody. How do I get into games? Oh, there we go. All right. Now we know what's going on. Thank you. That's just a little bit of background from me, and I'll when we start talking about some other topics, interject some other of my personal experiences being around. For those of you that are unfamiliar with myself, I do live in Lebanon, and I am married to a Lebanon grad as well. So pretty excited, looking forward to a great year. We have a lot of information to give today. Some will be review, but there is a lot of new stuff, and I'm not going to be the only one speaking to you. I want to try to get you out of here as close to 7 as possible, so you can, those of you that are in fall sports can get to your fall sports team breakout rooms. First, I want to mention, as most of you know or have seen, we have a new mission statement as a corporation, and that falls in line with our same mission statement basically in the athletic department. Everyone, every day, we hope will give their best. That's from the coaches to the officials to the parents that are and spectators to our athletes. We also have the guiding principles that our coaches are aware of: student-centered growth, service, and high expectations. So we want all of our meetings in our corporation start with our mission statement and our guiding principles, and all of our coaches have these in the back of their mind. I did want to introduce the athletic office. Some of you will call in. You'll hear him on the phone. You may never see him. Of course, you saw Wade Thatcher down here. He does a lot of IT. He's one of our, quote, assistants off the books. Helps us with all the ticketing, pictures, basically all technology stuff. You'll hear from him later on tonight. Bob Ross is another kind of volunteer assistant. Bob's been with the corporation a lot longer than myself. He's held every position, including athletic director, assistant superintendent. Just a great guy to have around, knows a lot of information, keeps me straight, and you've seen him floating around tonight. He's actually making the extra copies for you. And then we have Missy Bradburn, who is our administrative assistant. She's in the office with myself. Most of you will be talking with her when you pick up the phone and call. I want to talk a little bit about Lebanon Sports Boosters. We have a new board this year, some familiar people moving into different positions. You can see Mike Gramlin, the vice president, Shelby Bowling, the treasurer, Jamie G., and most of them were outside at their table. We get a tremendous amount of support from the Lebanon Boosters. They gave over $9,000 in scholarships to student athletes last year, and over 100 and I think it was 100 and I don't know, what is it, 50,000 somewhere in there, money towards the athletic department. Or no, but not that much, 55,000. Sorry. Thinking of my budget. And we really would like for you to support the Lebanon Boosters. There's some information in your packet, but I'm going to let the president, Natalie Parks, speak to you for a few minutes.
Thanks, Phil. Good evening. Welcome to Tiger Athletics 24-25. I am the president of the Sports Boosters, and yes, I'm a familiar face. I did treasurer for 6 years and decided that with my last 2 years of having a student here, I was not going to do that this year. So this year I get to be president. He introduced the board and a little bit about what we do. So everything that we raise goes back to the students and the athletic programs. So think about the athletic trainer. We supported, did we get you an ultrasound thing? Some equipment for her. We helped with that. We helped with new wrestling mats at the middle school here upstairs. Okay. We helped with the tennis practice wall, which still needs to get put up. Perfect. We do scholarships for our students. In 2020, our 2020 graduates, we gave 9 $1,800 scholarships, and that's because of the generosity of our sponsors from that year. And because of the sponsors from that year, we were able to support the program without having to ask for a lot of sponsorship money that year. We run the concession stands. Shout out to Jason Deacons, who I know isn't here, but he did volleyball, he did basketball, he did baseball, he did softball, and we're going to be lost without him this year. Last year, we did present a big check at the Zionsville game, football game, in the amount of $55,000. We will do that again this year, so I'm not going to give you that total yet. But it'll be right. It'll be around there again because everything we do is for the students, for the student athletes. We've helped pay for camps. We've helped pay for letter jackets. We've helped pay for food. We've done benches at the soccer fields. The coaches have used the money that they get from the program to help their extracurricular budgets where they don't get the money from the athletic department. So that is a little bit about what we do. So, big question, how do you get involved? Two really easy ways. Number one, memberships. Become a member. It's $25 tonight. If you become a member, you get a free t-shirt, and we're all wearing them except for Mike. But get a free t-shirt. If we don't have your size, we are taking, thanks Mike, we are writing down a list of sizes and people who weren't able to get their shirts tonight. Come to our meetings. I wish I could tell you they're the third Monday of every month, but they're not because they're dependent on when the sports things are going on. So our first meeting is Monday, August 12th, so it's this coming Monday at 7 p.m. and we meet in the group study room across from the cafeteria. So that's where we will be meeting. Come to a meeting, find out how you can get involved. The board met about a month ago, and we have some big ideas and some big plans that we could use a lot of help with. One of the big things we need help with is our concession stand because Jason Deacons is no longer a parent of a student here. So if you have a desire to run to Sam's, run to Costco, order Coke, run the concession stands, help out with that, please see one of us because we are looking for somebody to take that over. We do basketball, like I said, basketball, baseball, softball. We don't do volleyball at this point, but that's a lot of what we do. If you have any questions, we do have a table set up where you can sign up tonight or ask any questions. We'll be out there right after this meeting and then after the individual sports meetings. So, thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. For those of you that are unaware of or maybe brand new, the athletic program, as far as the corporation provides stipends for coaches, provides a little bit of maintenance on our facilities and our fields, those type of things, and provides transportation for our student athletes. We're very fortunate that we don't have an activity fee. So we do rely heavily on our gate receipts, the boosters, for their support financially, so our kids, we can meet all the needs from our coaches and our kids.
If you have a senior this year, and you want them to be eligible for the scholarship, you must be a boosters member by the end of the year. So December 31st at 11:59 p.m. is the cutoff for memberships if you have a senior who you want to have apply for our scholarship.
Thanks. Yes, very important. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about some athletic information, expectations, and some of this, like I said, information may be review, but some of it may be new before I turn it over to some other individuals. I want to start with our coaches and expectations and parent expectations so you're aware of it. First of all, we are academics first, athlete second. So student first, athlete second. We're education-based athletics. We want to make sure that we are teaching the positive characteristic traits, sportsmanship, dedication, commitment, time management skills, those type of things out there in the athletic arena. So when our student athletes graduate in 4 years, they have the ability to be successful in the world in whatever they choose to do, whether that's college, military, if they want to continue their career, or the workforce. So that's our main goal, our main objective. We're not here, and people always frown when I say this, we're not here to get your son or daughter a scholarship. That's not what we're about. We will assist in that process, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that later on when I get to some college things. But we'll assist in that process, but that's not our main goal. Our coaches will help you if you want to increase your playing career beyond education. Playing time. When we talk about playing time, that's always a bone of contention. Our playing time is earned. We don't recognize entitlement or selfishness. Obviously, the saying is there's no I in team. Um, we are in the process of changing our uh, basically our not our environment but our Lebanon community as far as is growing tremendously, and we are seeing that more and more athletes are coming in that have started playing at a younger age, and as we grow and these athletes start coming into our community, uh, you have to be doing things in the off season if you're a current athlete at our school to try to improve, because we have freshmen and sophomore now coming in with more talent than some of our juniors and seniors. That's just what's happening now. And the in the old days, like I said, I've been here 17 years, where we have these student athletes that come out in our programs, and they in our programs for the social aspect, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But they have no work ethic to try to improve. They just want to hang out with their friends and be a part of the program. We're going to get to that point down the road here in the next 5 or 6 years where they won't be in the program. I mean, that's just how we're changing as a community. It's not anything bad. It's a good thing, but we're becoming more competitive. We'll be in a new conference after this year. More information will come about that. But our athletes need to know that they need to be dedicated and committed if they're going to be in our programs, and striving hard every day. Everyone every day for their new best. Communication, you can find this in the athletic handbook. I just want to make sure that you're aware that our coaches, and I know we have fall, winter, and spring. There may be somebody here that doesn't have an athlete right now, but will in the future. Our coaches should be able to articulate to a parent and their athlete their strengths, their weaknesses, and where they fit in the program and what their role is in the program. Okay, they should all be able to do that to the parent and to the student athlete. Now, you may not agree with that, and that's fine, but we hire the coaches that have the knowledge and experience to do what's best for the program, and that might be a situation after you guys talk it out or work it out where you may have to agree to disagree. Keep in mind, over my long-term career, it's my experience that every student athlete really knows where they fit in because they're at practice every day. But since they're trying to please the coach and please the parent at the same time, they get caught in the middle, and it's a very difficult situation for them. You find it's hard for athletes to come home and say, Mom, I'm going to be JV, or Mom, I'm going to be on the bench for a while because coach thinks other players are better than me, because obviously you want the best for your son or daughter, and we do too, but there is a reality in this situation, and you have to be aware of that. But I go back to that coach should be able to articulate strengths and weaknesses of your son and daughter, and where they fit in the program. I ask that you please follow the chain of command. We want our student athletes to try to handle some adversity. We don't want mom and dad to come to their rescue all the time when they're out in the real world and they have to answer to their employer or to their college and they're on their own. They should not have to pick up the phone and call mom and dad to rescue them for every situation that occurs. So we do ask, although we know it's difficult, if there's something that's bothering them or they have concerns and issues, they go to the coach first. Once they've done that, bring you into the picture, you go to the coach with your son or daughter. Then once that's established and you're still not satisfied, then you come to me. And then after me, if you're still not satisfied, then feel free to go to the principal, all the way up the chain of command. But we really want to do our best for our athletes to try to handle situations the best they can. As far as officials and sportsmanship goes, we want to make sure that we're good role models for our student athletes, and our student athletes are role models. Our coaches spend a lot of time on this. Obviously, some things you have seen where they shake hands at the end of the game, but we're talking about with our opponents how they react and represent Lebanon on the field, in the pool, in the wrestling room, wherever it may be. So we want our parents and our spectators to do the same as well. And pretty much enough said on that, but there really really cracking down on that. It's one of the reasons why we have a shortage in officials across the state. Nobody wants to work because of the spectators and fans. So they're really starting to crack down. So bite your lip, bite your tongue, suck on a lollipop, do whatever you want. My experience, again, going back to being around for a long time and watching all the sports, an official knows when they made a mistake. You don't have to tell them. And if you don't tell them, they'll make it up later on in the game or the event at some point. They always will do that. If you're the one that's getting on them and constantly harping on them, you're going to have a rough event because you're never going to get something to go your way. We're very fortunate this year. I don't think it's been published yet, but the Indiana Officials Association named Lebanon as their #1 school, and they're going to present some sort of presentation to us at one of the football games this year. That's quite an honor. Out of all the schools that the Indiana Officials Association represents, they could pick any schools, but they chose us this year for the way that we handle officials and the way that we support them when they come to our events. And I'm pretty proud of that, and our students should be proud, and so should our fans. So there'll be more information about that coming out later. Quick thing about multi-sport athletes. We support multi-sport athletes as our community grows, and as I mentioned earlier, that may diminish a little bit. We hope not, but all our coaches are on the same page. They try to work together with each other. There is some IHSA rules. I just make sure that you're aware of it. Team sports. If you are participating in a team sport during the high school season, you cannot play that same sport outside in a club situation. So if you play soccer, for example, in the fall, you are not allowed to play club soccer during the fall. You have to make a choice. However, you can play another sport. So if you're a soccer player in the fall at the high school and you like on the weekends or whatever to go and play softball to keep in shape, or volleyball, or whatever it may be, you can do that, but your high school sport comes first. You're not allowed to do that if it involves missing a high school event. You can talk to your coach about it. There may be some leeway in there, but for the most part, the rule states you cannot miss a high school competition for an outside competition. Individual sports is a little bit different. With swimming and wrestling and track, you can participate in a club. They don't, not at the same time, but within the season there's some different rules. But team sports, just know that's where our student athletes sometimes get in trouble. Also, if you're going to a college clinic or something like that during season, so if you were in football, playing football, and want to go to a college football clinic during the football season, you can't do that either. So if you have any questions before you do anything, call my office and I'll get you those answers. In your packet that you have, there's a bunch of things. I'll refer to them. First of all, the first page is basically our coaches and their contact information. On the back of that talks about when our sports start, the dates they start, and also talks about final forms, which our registration process is online, and Mr. Thatcher will briefly talk about that later on tonight. But I did want to mention the sheet on the back of the calendar, which I'll get to in a minute. There is a limited contact, another IHSA rule. So I've had some parents in the past say, hey, why haven't we started, like for example, next week, why haven't we started basketball for those kids that aren't playing fall sports? Well, the answer is we're not allowed. So you can see on this IHSA form, and they have this on their website, that there are things called dead periods, when coaches out of season can do things with their programs. And for the most part, our coaches start their programs when these dead periods are over. So I just wanted you to be aware, if you have questions, why aren't we doing things with kids that are involved in other sports? Because sometimes we're not allowed to, and you can read that on your own. The most important thing that I'm giving you tonight is the calendar, which is the sheet before that. And as Natalie mentioned, there's all the scheduled booster meetings as the first part. The fall the fall awards night, winter awards night, spring award night dates are there. They all start at 6 o'clock. first team all conference. We haven't set those dates. We're doing that this Wednesday coming, so I'll get those out. We're doing something new this year for if you have an athlete that's going to sign and go on. Instead of having all these individual signings, we have 3 dates. We're going to try to honor these 3 dates. So if we have 2 or 3 athletes that are signing, they'll be done all on those 3 dates at some point. So anybody that signs, they can get with me and I'll go over that with them. I'm going to speak about eligibility dates in a few minutes. So the dates are there. Just know they're there on the paper. And some more important information as far as homecoming, prom, honors night, graduation, and moratorium, which I'll speak about a little bit later. So this sheet is extremely important for you to have. All right. I think at this time I'm going to introduce our athletic trainers, Abby Hewlin and Susan Glazebrook. Both of them got married, so it's been difficult for me to change their names. And it's even more difficult because their emails have stayed the same as their last names of their original names. So I'm going to let them speak to you for a little bit about our training programs and our doctors.
I'm Susan Glazebrook. I'm here at the high school all the time. This is my 6th year here at Lebanon. This is Abby Hewlin. This is her 2nd year. She's here at the high school with me, plus she's also over at the middle school. Our contact information is on the packet that you got. It's down at the bottom. So if you guys need to get in touch with us at any point, our emails are on there. You can get with us and we'll get back with you quickly. Abby's going to go over some quick information for you.
All right, so just a few things. First off, we want to start by saying that all of your athletes, your children, have access to us every day after school. So Susan's over here at the high school immediately after school every day, and I'm over at the middle school. So if you happen to have kids at the middle school too, they do have access to me after school every day until around 3:30 whenever their events start. If they need to see us, we can evaluate injuries, treat injuries, rehabilitate, all the things that they may need. Sometimes we will need to modify your kids' activities if they're injured, for example, or we need to pull them from practice or competition. We will get them back to play as quickly and as safely as possible. So we want to limit the risk of further re-injury. But we will communicate with you if we are pulling your children from play and that return to play protocol. If your kid goes to see a doctor, we will need a note outlining their limitations. So we need this in writing. So whatever a doctor says to you about what they want your kid to do, we just need in writing what that is. So if they happen to say something to you in the room and they don't write that down on paper, please check over that before you leave the office and get it written down on paper. Because if they do write something down, or if they don't write something down that they said to you, it just becomes a whole confusing mess. But yeah, we do have to go with what they write. We cannot overturn what a doctor has written. So if they say, I don't know, for example, like your child cannot go back into play, we can't overturn that. So with that being said too, if your child gets pulled from competition by a physician, we will need a written documentation that the physician says that they are cleared to go back into play. So if Johnny sprains his ankle, goes to a doctor, the doctor says he cannot practice for until further notice, we will need another note from that physician or from a physician saying that he is clear to go back into play. Whether that be he's clear to go back into play with athletic training okay, or what that may be, we will just need a note. We also have our team physician, Dr. Kraft. Oh yeah, he's up there. He does injury checks in the training room on Mondays after school. So Johnny has an ankle injury and we'd like a second opinion, or you would like him to be seen by a physician and don't have the time to take him to a doctor, whatever it may be. It is really awesome that Dr. Kraft does that for the students. So we will reach out to you ahead of time. If we want them to see Dr. Kraft, we will communicate with you. But with that being said, your child or your athlete will need to come see us about their injury before we can get them on the list to see craft. We just need to be in the loop, whatever is going on. That's pretty much all we have to say. Everything that I just said applies to the middle school too. So your middle school kids do have access to seeing Dr. Kraft on Mondays too if they need to. They just will need to discuss that with me beforehand. If you do have middle school kids, you know that there's a bunch of construction going on at the middle school. If they do need to be seen by Dr. Kraft on Monday, I will communicate with Amanda Scoble, the athletic director over at the middle school, ahead of time on Monday morning. She's going to put them on a bus from the middle school to the high school, so they won't have to be walking through a bunch of construction, a bunch of cars right there at the end of the day. So if you have any further questions, our contact information is on the packet for you guys.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. With the changes coming, as I mentioned, and kind of the growth, we've put an emphasis and stressing our strength and conditioning trainer, trying to get our student athletes in weight training throughout the day. It makes it easier for them. It's a good period of time. And I'm going to bring up Noah Rogers, who is going to tell you a little bit about our program, give you some information that he really hasn't shared with a lot of parents in the past, and I felt it was extremely important, especially since we're emphasizing getting our student athletes in the weight room.
All right, thank you very much, Phil. Really excited to be up here and get to speak with all of you. Like he said, haven't had an opportunity to do so. So again, thank you for being here. I'm Noah Rogers. I'm the strength and conditioning coach here at the high school, going into year 5. Really looking forward to continue growing our program, and you'll get to see some more of the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts of our program. And athletes, if you are in the audience right now, you'll probably recognize the presentation. The presentation we're going to use tonight for this is geared at 3 different groups. So we're looking at also coaches, athletes, and parents. So you'll get to see the same types of things we went over with our coaches as well as with our athletes in classes. So, there we go. Okay. We refer to our strength and conditioning program as LT Strength, Lebanon Tiger Strength. Again, I'm the head strength and conditioning coach. We also have a strength and speed coach, Coach Yoder. Josh is also our defensive coordinator for the football team, and he co-teaches APC classes, advanced physical conditioning classes, with me. Those are all on black days this year, so black 1, 2, and 3. We got our 3 guiding points here. We're looking at trying to develop our program, our athletes, mentally, physically, be able to help them perform at their best, and also we want to win championships. This competition is, again, increasing as we grow as a school, as a community, and change conferences. You've seen some of the competition out there, and we want to be at the top of our game to handle that level of competition. So information given to you today, going through this expectations, rack assignments was what we set up with the kids here this week. Look at starting championship level habits through accountability and the high expectations we're holding in the weight room and our strength and conditioning program, and then answer any questions you may have. So I'll stick around after our meeting. If you want to catch me in the hallway, ask a couple questions, or again, I'll have my information at the end of this presentation, so you can email me. I've already had a few parents do so feel free to reach out. Our culture in the weight room is dictated by what we do. It's not just something posted on a wall or said, it is by action. So when we talk to them, I'll say a funny saying called DFWO. DFWO. Discipline, focus, work, and ownership. So we try to instill in those athletes that you're not going to be necessarily motivated every day that you show up. But in order to achieve the goals that we have set out for you and that you have for yourself, we need to show up and give the best we have each and every day. So we're looking at finding discipline over motivation, okay, even in those rough times. Focus on the things that matter. So we're looking at our goals, whether that's speed, strength, helping you craft your body into what you need for your specific sport. We're looking at there's no secret sauce to this. There's no magic pill. Work is going to happen. So how can we take this, work our tails off, and be able to make it a fun process along the way, as well as taking ownership. So taking ownership for the good, for the bad, picking up a fallen friend, literally or figuratively, and also taking care of our facilities and the opportunities that we have ahead of us. DFWO. Give you a second to read these quotes real quick from myself and from Coach Yoder. The gist is essentially this: we need to be consistent. Okay? Taking days off or relaxing after you've achieved something is usually referred to as the human condition, and it's difficult. We know we're asking our athletes to do challenging things, but again, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. We want to see that growth and change. So being able to be consistent, and if there's times where you miss a day, we have plenty of opportunities to help you make up that missing training. This quote is from the strength and conditioning coach who recently retired from Ben Davis High School, Coach Vanderbush. They literally would refer to him as the godfather of high school strength and conditioning. He was at Ben Davis from 1984 to 2024. 40 years of strength and conditioning, with some of his accolades at the bottom. Kevin stated, taking days off puts yourself at risk of injury. Having that routine and your body adapting to the changes you're asking it to make helps you reduce soreness and reduce chances of injury on the field, on the court, and so on. But the most important thing, beyond all of that, is mindset. Being able to say, I will make this change. I will take a positive attitude when I'm going in. I will be consistent and I will succeed. Talking positively to yourself then helps you create a circumstance where you can be successful as you move forward. So in our classes, we expect students to wear just shoes, shorts, and shirts. Keep it simple. We want to have Tiger Pride, so wear your colors, and then have laced shoes. Avoid the metal jewelry, could be a safety risk, and then we get phones and everything put out of the way so we can focus on the tasks at hand. Our 4 core lifts, we look at doing a clean variation, a squat, bench, and pull variation in each superset that we do. So we go through different cycles or supersets with exercises paired together to save time and have you working in a similar space as we go through our program, and these main benchmarks are put in there for that purpose. We use a software called Team Builder, and I believe we're on year 4 of using Team Builder. So our athletes actually have iPads that they use at their racks to track the information as far as what they're doing in the weight room and also know what to do specifically. So we use a percentage-based program that you'll see here in a moment. But there's other types of terms that they need to know as they go through our program to help them know exactly what to do at what time. So again, we use a percentage-based program with projected training maxes through Team Builder. So an example of that would look like this. So they know exactly how much to lift, and they're able to see what their growth would look like based on that AMAP set that's listed there. So standing for as many as possible. So on the bottom, for example, it says if you can hit 10 reps with this listing, your projected max would stay. But if you go up by a rep or 2, all of a sudden your projection goes up. So we're able to see growth week to week rather than waiting to the end of a cycle to do a max out, for instance. And then that looks like so when we pair it into those supersets. So you'll see 2, 3 exercises paired together. The student athletes are in groups of 2 to 3, so we have multiple students working on the same station, working together, changing out weights, being able to help one another through the process. And again, Team Builder, a very fancy, awesome system that we get to use. If your student has an issue with Team Builder or a question, you can always ask me, send an email, we'll help get that corrected for you. So on our day-to-day operations, depending on what time of the year it is, looks a little different. So students in classes now, or APC classes, will change right away. They'll match back up and take attendance. We'll warm up and do some agility, whether that's some drill work or testing week to week. We'll go break down what the lift is, get the lift done, and then take ownership as far as Team Builder, taking care of our buddies, cleaning up the room, all that good stuff before they get the change out. Okay? So now into some of the more directed things to you parents. We're able to look at how we can improve the process of this thing. Our athletes care about what our coaches care about. We want to see them be successful, both as individuals and as teams. So the accountability piece comes into play at that point. So for us, the accountability and checking progress is them filling out their Team Builder day to day. Okay, they need to be able to track where they are and where they're going. At the same time, the opportunity becomes now we can attach parent emails to your athletes' accounts. So if they're in Team Builder in a class or outside of class, we can get your emails attached to their account, and it'll automatically send you an update email 1 time a week. I believe it's Sundays. So that way you can look and see what your student's been doing that week. So that way, maybe at the dinner table on a Sunday, you can say, hey, Johnny, your bench went up 10 pounds, good job, and make them all embarrassed, okay? But we want to see them succeed and hold them accountable and be able to gloat about it. That's one of my favorite things about this, being able to say, my athletes are crushing it, look at this, okay? The other piece is also our coaches have that opportunity too. So they can pull accounts and say, hey, I can look at one athlete at a time, or they can pull a full report and see the trends of a team through time. So some of our updates in the weight room are listed up here. And again, I'm gonna go off script, or off, excuse me, the microphone, because I'm used to talking in a big space. Okay, so our weight room used to be mustard yellow. It was built in 2012 when they tore down the wall. Now we painted it a beautiful white and gray color. A little bit brighter in there now. But we have that up now, updated, and we put up some banners in the hallway to celebrate success. So that bench, that squat, that clean, they were able to get those out together in a total, and we call that our big three, to highlight their success, put them in the hallway. We actually just updated those this week. Your athletes get to see that and say, hey, look at my name up there. I did something awesome, okay? We're also gonna have individual banners in the weight room for bench, squat, and clean, both guys and girls, with a couple standards on how to get there, so you have more opportunities to get your name up on a banner on the wall. We also have club t-shirts. So if you see an LT Strength t-shirt, sponsored by Hammer Strength, you see black ones, gold ones, your students can earn from hitting those standards, as well as we have vending fundraisers. So we got 2 vending machines. The proceeds go into building into our fund to help develop the weight room and get new and updated equipment for them. Okay? So things like that, we have, we have a new testing system for our speed testing. We got new bands this summer, as well as the painting of the weight room. So lots of awesome new things coming into the play for our student athletes with their training. So here's an example of one of those vending machines, okay? The future plans, I like to look back to our past to see where we are, where we were, and where we're going. Back when I got here in 2020, we only had 48 students in advanced physical conditioning. This year we have 150 in 3 classes. So we get 50 students in each one of those classes on black days. Yes, that top point, the A point there, has been something a lot of people have been asking about, and that is a goal for us in the future, okay? As we grow as a community, to stay competitive, we need to, number one, get your athletes in classes. It'll help them train earlier in the day and recover before their practice or their games. And also, it's reducing injury risk. So if we can get your athletes strong in their joints and their muscles, it can help protect them for future injury, whether it's non-contact or bigger, stronger athletes are competing against them, especially in contact and collision sports, okay? SST is new this year. It's our old homeroom, so student success time. So if an athlete misses a lift or they need to get a 3rd lift in for that week, they can schedule to come in during an SST time and make up one of those lifts, okay? And if you have an athlete that is not in APC and still needs to get into lift, they can speak to me about this new club we are creating, Barbell Club, in order to get them in the weight room by request, okay? Other things that tend to come up, questions, supplements is something to be talked about. Here at Lebanon High School, we do not recommend any supplements. That is a decision between you and your athlete and your doctor. But then if you have questions about it, you're always welcome to ask. Again, sleep and diet are number one in order for recovery and helping you be able to perform at your best. Multi-sport athletes, like Phil kind of covered, we love seeing athletes be multi-sport to help them with the physical and the mental fatigue, trying to help them not burn out. As well as game day, we do make adjustments and lifts on game days. So that AMAP, for instance, that we showed would be optional to cut that out to save a little bit of energy for that game later in that day, okay? Again, if you have future questions, you're always welcome to reach out. My email is listed here as well as, I'm sure, on the website, or you can call in my phone extension, leave voicemail, or if I'm there, if the music's not too loud, I'll try to answer your call. Again, we have an Instagram as well, LT Strength. Thank you so much for listening to me. I look forward to working with you and your athletes in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Noah. As I said, I think it's extremely important that our athletes are in the weight room. It's only going to make us bigger, stronger, faster, and be able to compete and be successful. Going to move on. I want to talk about a couple changes now, and this is in our athletic handbook that I know all of you sign off on when you register for Final Forms, and you read inside out, cover to cover. I'm sure that's a joke, but our coaches will go over some important things, and I wanted to highlight a couple things you see up on the PowerPoint that is extremely important and basically changed. So athletic ability eligibility has changed a little bit, and you can flip back to that sheet that I gave you with all the dates. It used to be every 9 weeks determine the eligibility of the student athlete. So the one thing that changes now, we are doing midterm grades, and that can help or hurt an athlete. So it's basically every almost 3-4 weeks when their grades come out, that determines whether they're going to be eligible or not. The second part that changed is, in the past, the Lebanon Community School Corporation has had stricter standards for achieving passing letter grades than the IHSAA. So we would compete against some schools where kids had lower grades than our kids, and our kids were sitting out. So we, this past summer, were able to work with the school board and get passed that we are now in line with the IHSAA requirement. So basically that's, if you take 8 classes, you have to pass 6. If you take 5 classes, you need to be 7 classes, excuse me, you need to be passing 5. So I'm excited that we're in line. Obviously, we don't want anybody to get Fs, and we're going to strive that that doesn't happen. And but we're going to be doing grade checks more often. The dates of the grades are there that I put on that sheet, so you can see the and the timing is extremely important too, because for right now we have some kids that are starting the fall season academically ineligible, but at the end of the on September 5th, they may immediately come eligible. So that's exciting news. But again, it also, if a student athlete's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they could fall behind. So that's the first major change. The second major change, we didn't have much changes in our substance abuse policy, but we did have, and most everybody knows what that is, hopefully. First offense, you're going to miss 50% of your events. Second offense, 365, and the third, you won't be able to participate at all. Pretty stringent. When we talk about substance abuse, we're talking about alcohol and drugs for the most part, including marijuana. But when we talk about behavior issues, we made some changes there. On page, I think it's page 14 in the handbook, you'll see, is it coming up? You'll see a chart. So in the past, we've had minimum from 10% all the way up to being kicked off the team, and there are a lot of concerns that we were being subjective in how we're handling things. But to let you know, behind the scenes, we were very consistent, and there's just some information that we can't share for confidentiality purposes with you as a parent or with the community, and there has to be that trust factor that we are being consistent and fair when we discipline our student athletes. We want them to be role models. We want them to be held accountable for their actions. So what we've done is we basically broke it down into a chart to give some more transparency and some clarity to what, if your son or daughter was involved in, what would happen behavior-wise. 2 things to keep in mind here, and this goes with our substance abuse policy as well. It's always been assumed, but it's never been written in the handbook, so we clarified it so it's in the handbook. You don't get a restart every single year. If you're involved in a situation in your 1 year, and then your second offense happens in your second year, it's a second offense. It's not a first offense again. So we clarified that in the handbook. It carries for all 4 years. And then we made some adjustments, as you can see in the chart. That's very important. Now, I'm going to tell you this as my experience. I hope everybody was listening, because a lot of parents tune me out during this presentation when I talk about substance abuse, because they feel like their child is never going to get involved with this. I can tell you, it doesn't matter whether your student's getting straight A's or your student's getting struggling in school. It can happen to anybody. I've had it happen to kids with straight A's. I've had it happen to kids that are struggling with D's and F's get involved in, whether that's substance abuse or behavior issues. As most of you know, there are 2 areas, which brings me right into my next, I'm going to go back, sorry. Area that the two areas that I deal with the most as the athletic director, and I guess I could say our assistant principals do as well. One is the vaping. We do have vape detectors in our school, and then now it's come to the point where the vaping is with THC in it, and if that occurs, it becomes a substance abuse because the THC is marijuana. So it's not just a behavior thing where tobacco is; it becomes a substance abuse. So that is one thing that we deal with. The other thing we deal with is social media, and that brings me right into my next topic. Please monitor what your son or daughter is doing on social media as well as you guys. Understand that nothing is private. We talk about this all the time. Our coaches talk about it. Colleges and universities are going to students' Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, sites to try to determine their character. It could be the determining factor when they apply to a university, whether a coach wants to keep you, and you have to be extremely careful. And the students don't understand this because they'll come to me and say, "Well, Mr. Levine, I was just putting a quote from a song on my site with a picture." And I said, I understand, but they don't know that's the quote from the song. They're reading it that as that's who you are. That's your character. And that speaks to who you are. So you have to be extremely careful with what they post. The other thing is, our students hold each other accountable, believe it or not. And if our students go to a party, there are pictures taken and they will get turned into me and I will have to deal with it. So the days of, oh, well, I'm invincible, nobody's ever going to find out. I guarantee you they will. Pictures get sent to me, messages get sent to assistant principals. So just I wanted to make you aware of that. The other piece of it is at some point there'll be some drama that will happen within your program. If it's a girls program, I'm sure there will be a girl in your program that's dating a boy and will break up during the season, and then that boy will start dating another girl in the same program. Okay, now we've just divided the team and we have issues, and where does that end up? On social media. And it disrupts the school day, and I see people shaking their head. Yes, this happens. These are the things I have to deal with in our assistant principals. So please help us out the best you can, and not only just monitoring their social media, but be involved with them. Know what's going on, who their friends are, where they're at, what's happening. Reminder, you're still the adult and they're still living in your house and they still need to abide by your rules until they move out. So I just want to make you aware of that. Because those are big things that we deal with. The last thing on my list is moratorium. New IHSA rule. We will definitely have the moratorium week, which is how it's always been, which is the July 4th week. That's where our coaches are not allowed to communicate or talk with any of our student athletes. But this year, it actually was passed last year, but with a waiver to not start until this summer, each school has to pick 5 additional days for moratorium week. 5 additional days. We got together as a coaching staff, and the dates that we picked, it can start in week 48. IHSA defines the weeks in the seasons. So we picked Memorial Day, June 2nd, the 3 Fridays in July, 11th, 18th, and 25th, and the first Friday in August, August 1st. So if you're planning vacations or things over the summer, those are the other additional 5 days in addition to the week of July 4th that our coaches will not be allowed to have communication or to do anything, strength and conditioning, kids in the school, with only one exception. And I hope that we will have those exceptions. Because we're picking Memorial Day, everybody's sitting there going, well, that's baseball might be still playing, softball might be playing, golf might be going on, and track may be going. Yes, I hope they're still going on. If they are, that's still our moratorium date, but those guys can still practice because they're still considered in season. So we're getting the day out of the way, even though some of our teams may still be in season, and the IHSA said that could happen. And if that changes, I'll let you know. But hopefully we'll still be in season, and that will be right around tournament time for those spring sports. So they will still be obviously practicing. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and I haven't really done this before, so if you can bear with me, is I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can be realistic with your son or daughter if they're interested in going on and playing college sports. I can tell you in my 31 years, 24 in athletic administration, I have 2 kids that have gotten full rides in Division One scholarship. One here, one from my other school. Full rides. We're talking full amount Division One scholarships. That's in 24 years. I have 16 state championships I've been involved in. One here and 15 at my last school, which is a much bigger school where I came from. So we had top-notch level talent, skill level, and I've only had two athletes. Keep that in mind. I wanted to give you some information, and I'll speak to that a little bit more in a minute. The NCAA, and I gave you all this information in your packet, reports 2% of high school athletes receive athletic scholarships, and most do not cover their full tuition. An average scholarship is $10,000, a fraction of what even an in-state tuition costs. I anticipate, and I see this happening, and there's evidence, scholarship assistance is going to go down due to the college portal that most of you are familiar with, and NIL. So please keep that in mind. There are 8 million high school athletes in U.S., but only 480,000 college athletes. Take basketball, for example, 3.5 of all high school players will play for a college, and only 1% will play at the Division I level. And a mere 1% of those college players will make it to the NBA. All statistics for all sports and information, again, are in that packet. I encourage you to look it over. It goes right there. It details every sport. All the information's from the NCAA. There's a really good websites out there for additional information. The Aspen Institute Sports and Society, under Project Play, they have so much information and studies to talk about participation trends, health trends, coaching trends, cost to play trends, and play impact report. They're just phenomenal information. So the reality is most of your students here are going to finish their career here at Lebanon High School as athletes. And again, it's why we focus so much on education-based athletics and acquiring the skills. And there are sports that they'll play for a lifetime. They're going to swim. They're going to play golf. They're going to play tennis. They're going to pick up pickleball, track. I mean, they're going to do some things for the rest of their lives, even if they don't go to college to play sports. So we don't want to squash their dreams. We support their dreams. We want them, if they want to go on to play, we'll assist in that process. We just want them to be realistic, not only them, but you as parents. I believe, and strongly, and I've seen it in my years, that if a student plays a varsity high school sport, plays a sport at the varsity level, there will be a college for them that they can continue their playing career at. The question only comes down to, where will that be? And if they dream of being a Division I player and they don't end up with the talent as a Division I player, so they can't go to Purdue or they can't go to IU for athletics, but they can go to a smaller school and continue their athletic career, but they've grown up their whole life and they got into IU or got into Purdue as a student athlete, that is going to be a very difficult decision for them to make. My experience, if a student goes to a college, and you can look, if you've been in Lebanon for a long time, at our students that have gone on to play college sport. I don't have any data for this, but I'm going to tell you, my experience, if they choose a college for the sport, and not because they like the school, that's where they want to go, and it has the major for them, they will be done in less than a year. And you can look at our kids here in Lebanon that have returned home. I'm not saying they made a mistake. I just say when it comes down to that decision to go to a different school, Division II, Division III, to continue my career, but my lifelong dream to go to that Division I, whether that's in-state, out-of-state, Notre Dame, IU, Purdue, that's going to be a difficult decision. And you as a parent, knowing that you've put all that money into youth and all the years, and you're going to want them to go play, maybe, you're going to have to support them in that decision. So just keep that in mind. And I think being up here for 26 years now and being involved in athletic sports management and seeing this happen, I feel that I need to give you that information so you can see that, because that will happen, especially if you have a younger kid, freshman, sophomore, junior. And going back real quickly to the NIL and the portal has created a mess for high school athletes, because there are a lot of coaches now that will take a college kid from a smaller college school or another Division I school before they will take a high school athlete coming out of high school. So it's a very difficult game. It's impacting high school. We're aware of it. And we're trying to work, the IHSA is trying to work with colleges, and we're trying to come up with some sort of plan. You see a lot of changes and things happening, and I think you'll continue to see that. So again, we don't want to squash their dreams. I don't want to sound negative, but we want to support them, but we want them to have the skills to be successful if it doesn't work out. Please note, the last thing about that I'm going to say is that the NCAA and the NAIA have an eligibility center. Okay, the students must begin a portfolio, or should begin a portfolio at least in their junior year, because if they go on to a Division II, III, or I, or NAIA school, they will have to be registered in that eligibility center for two reasons. One, it determines whether the student has maintained their amateur status, and who knows what that is right now anymore, to be honest with you, but more importantly, to determine that they're academically eligible to when they get to college. So it's better to get it done ahead of time. You'll be sending them transcripts. You'll be keeping that portfolio up to date as they go through their junior and senior year. So when they get there, they'll be eligible, instead of the compliance officer meeting with you and your son in college and saying he can't hit the field yet because he hasn't been approved by the eligibility center. I have more information about that. You can find it online. If your son's or daughter is in that area and they want to receive that information and get started on that, I could spend a whole night going through a PowerPoint presentation on how to do that. But please check out the ncaa.org's website and the NAI website for that additional information. I'll be back with facilities information, but we have some more important technology information to be presented to you by Mr. Thatcher. So is he down here? Yep. It's all you, bud.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to go through a couple of things. I'm going to go pretty quick here just to save us. We know we've been sitting for a while. So this fall we launched a new athletic website that is powered off of EventLink. So some of those times in the past when you've seen like calendars didn't match and events didn't match, that shouldn't be anymore because it's all the same platform now. You guys know that we use Final Forms. Most of you, if you're a fall athlete, have already completed that. Middle school uses the same website. I'll show you the link to that on the new website as well. And I'm going to show you EventLink and Parent Square. So this is the new website that we just launched probably 2 weeks ago or so. We've been working on it over the summer. Like I said, it powers right out of EventLink. The web address did not change. It's still LebanonAthletics.com. A couple things to highlight here. On the first part, you've got news articles, stories up here at the top. As you scroll down the page, you get your upcoming events. That's a week at a time. And then the Twitter feed shows up as well. Going across the top, some things that are of value, I guess. The events tab up there, when you click on that, you get the upcoming events. By default, you get everybody at one time. But if you click down here in this little filter box, you can filter just to get one sport or to get the practices for one sport. We have worked with all of our coaches and are requiring them to put all practices in EventLink as well this year, so that we have one unified calendar of all sports, games, practices, everything like that. Selfishly, it helps us in the office a lot to be able to see scheduling and see everything in one spot, but also for parents to know that everything is in one spot as well. In a second, I want to get into the EventLink part. I'm going to show you the EventLink app, and you can have all those calendars right on your app and sync it to even to your calendar, like your iCal or whatever, inside your phone as well. So on the events page there, I also highlighted when an event got tickets available for it, whether it's us or away. It shows that little ticket icon, and you can click on that to purchase tickets. I think everybody in our conference is an EventLink school, and many of the schools, I'd say a good chunk of the schools across the state are EventLink. If they are an EventLink school and doing tickets online for EventLink, it'll automatically post the link on our EventLink for you. So you can find even the tickets for away games on our EventLink page, if they're an EventLink school. Each sport has a page as well, so as you get into the sports section, that page includes their upcoming calendars. There you can filter practice and games. Also, any articles that have been posted that are about that sport are there. The bottom right corner, we're asking all the coaches to also report the results of every game, and then that'll populate under the scores down in that bottom right corner and the team's records. If you click on the tickets and passes up in the top there, those are the upcoming games. And like I mentioned, you can see here some of these say like from Franklin Central High School. That's an away game, but the ticket shows up on our page so you can find it there. Also, all sports passes are available as of yesterday. I got them up. So they're up there under season passes, and those are available to purchase as well. There is a athletic directory. When you click on athletic department, there's all of our staff and head coaches are all listed there with their contacts, their email addresses, and pictures. When you click on the more along the top, a couple more things you get are links to other things. For example, we have a Tiger gear store available. The athletic handbook's linked there. One thing of note is that the middle school in the past used our website. We use the same website. Now they have a website that looks identical, but it's a separate website. So it's linked up there under more. If you want the address, it's LebanonAthletics-LMS.com, but you can also get to it just by going to LebanonAthletics.com and then picking LMS. Jumping into EventLink, I took a few screenshots of my phone this evening. I'm logged into the EventLink app here. I've created an account. And when I first log in, I see all the upcoming events that I am subscribed to. So if I tap down on that calendar icon at the bottom, then you get the second picture there, and I can turn on which calendars I want to look at by checking the boxes. On the top left corner here, the little menu icon, if you click on that, there's some options on the left side. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, I have an option that says Manage Calendars. That's when I can pick which calendars I want to have on my app. So, when you first log in, you're not going to have anything. You're probably going to have Lebanon High School is all you're going to have. So I've added all the teams, but you can add the sports that matter to you. Once you have the sports that you want in your app, if you click that Export Calendars button, then it gives you a link and pops up your calendar app on your phone, and you can hit add or save or whatever it says, and then it puts all those events on your personal calendar. It subscribes you to the EventLink calendar, and those update in real time. So if a new game gets added or a practice gets changed, they show up on your calendar as well. Back up at the top of that menu is where you can see any tickets you've purchased with your account and also your season passes. When you click on season passes, the center icon there shows up. You can see I have an all sports pass in there, and then it pops up the QR code. In the past, we've always scanned those QR codes. This year, we are going to allow you to self-validate. So you'll hit that validate button down there, and it'll pop up, and it'll say yes. We're going to ask that you do that when you get to the gate. We'll still have the ability to scan, but we know sometimes that's slow to scan all of them, so we're going to do that. Also, if you buy an individual ticket, that validate option will be there as well in the email that it sends you. Moving on from... Actually, let me jump back here. I skipped one thing up here. Notice when you need final forms, it's there right next to the tiger head on the website. So you don't have to memorize that final forms link anymore. It's right there on the homepage. Other piece of technology that we use heavily is Parent Square. That is our district-wide communication platform. I'm sure you're used to that and all the messages you get from that. So just a reminder to have that Parent Square app and the Student Square app for students downloaded and set up. That is how our coaches communicate to you and the students. The students all have the Student Square app on their school iPad, so if they will sign into that, they have it on their school device as well. I also encourage you to check your notification preferences, because sometimes set those the way you want them. If you have them all set to digest, then you may miss information that's important during the day if you don't come until the evening. But that is all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Wade. And for those who don't know, the event app, all that stuff is free. You don't have to pay for that, so there's no charge on the download of that. Just some exciting information that I've been, the superintendent has allowed me to share with you as we kind of wrap things up this evening. A little facilities update for you. They're getting ready to begin a renovation. I'm not going to show you the cafeteria area, the commons area. I'm just going to focus on some of the athletics. So I've got some pictures, but I've been told I need to make sure you understand that these are concept pictures. They're not the right colors. They're not the right drawings. In some cases, so it gives you an idea on what's going to happen. But we'll have better pictures and drawings soon. I think the school board this month is going to actually see some updated versions. But first of all, the auxiliary gym hallway, you can see there, that's a ticket booth on the left-hand side when you come in to your left, and how the hallway is going to look. You can see they're going to add some new trophy cases down there. They're going to update that, make it more modern. But the biggest thing that's going to happen is all the pictures are going to come down off the wall and everything, and it's all going to be digitized. There's going to be like 3 TVs, touch TVs. You'll be able to do it by decade, do it by team, find the history, whatever it may be. But there'll be TVs on the wall. There'll still be trophies in the trophy case, but all the pictures are going to come down and it'll all be digitized in a more modern situation. The next biggest change is there's going to be a student activities center attached at the end of the auxiliary gym hallway. If you can see the pictures there, and inside There's going to be three, and by no means this is just a concept. Again, there's going to be three courts, I should say courts. One's going to be wooden, two are going to be Mondo, or whatever they call that rubberized floor, and they're going to have a 3-lane track around the outside. It's going to be multi-purpose, so it can be used for band, fine arts, volleyball. There'll be some batting cages that come down on one of the courts, and obviously the indoor track, and that's going to be there. In addition, outside, and again, the outside drawing is not up to date, but there'll be an outside classroom situation where one of the graduating classes has donated a lot of money to have like a classroom setting outside, and that's going to be right there around the corner, and it's landscaped. All I can tell you is it looks awesome. The real pictures. So that will be happening. I think they begin this coming summer on that project. We are going to lose our auxiliary gym for about a year. I hope that the middle school gym, that is the cafeteria, comes online when we lose that gym, because those of you that have middle school students, you know that their cafeteria is closed right now. They're eating in their gym, so they've lost a gym. I prefer not to lose 2 gyms, but we'll work around it. Like I said, I've been around a long time. I was here for the last renovation when our aux gym for 2 years was the library on one side and the administrative office on the other. So we'll make it work, because the end result will be awesome for our student athletes and for our staff and faculty, and we're very excited about those projects that are help our all of our programs, not just our athletic programs. Just want to finish up again with say thank you for coming. Look forward to a great season. Please volunteer, whether it's boosters or with your team doing something. Be positive, be a good role model. I know it's difficult when your son or daughter may have a bad competition or something, and you're in the car and you're talking about it on the way home. Just understand they know what they did wrong. They know what they did right. Celebrate with them, help them work through their adversity, but enjoy the experience, especially those of you that are freshmen and have 4 years. We have the website, as he mentioned. We have the Twitter. We just instituted our Instagram account, so we're looking for that to come out to you in Parent Square. We're gonna have some breakdown rooms. If you did not sign a clipboard, we have them out front. I know we got you in here quick so we can get done. This is where the teams are going. Football is going to stay here. Volleyball will go around the corner, community room 3, cheerleading in 2, boys soccer is going to the cafeteria, girls soccer is going to community room 1, and girls golf is going to the room across from the cafeteria. Thank you guys. Let's have a great year.